Hello, and welcome to the end of November and the beginning of December. It's not quite Christmas season yet. Well, for some people in California, it does seem to be that way. But I want to go ahead and finish out the fall, which technically doesn't end until December 21st. Shortest day of the year coming up, guys. And then we'll start going towards the longer days with more sunshine and warmth again. But right now, we're still heading towards the dark days, and we have some festivities and festivals that celebrate the light during the darkest part of the year. So let's look at the calendar and see what we've got. Looking at November 28th, that is the first day of Advent, which is the official church start of the Christmas season. Also, the stores, well, they've been waiting for this for a long time. And also, Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of lights, will be starting at sundown in just a few hours on Sunday evening. Right now, the sun is setting around 4:30. I know up north, up in Seattle, where I grew up, it would be dark by about 3:45. And further north, up in Alaska, it would be dark much earlier than that. And if you go up by the Arctic Circle, it's twilight or dark 24 hours during the darkest part of the year. Okay, let's skip over now to December 1st. December 1st, eat a red apple day. And that's a good reminder to keep our veggies up because, as you know, there's so many tempting things for us to eat instead. Also, it is Rosa Parks Day. And on this day in 1955, she refused to give up her seat on the city bus after a long day of working. She didn't want to give it up to a man, and they made her give it up simply because she was Black. Well, that led to the start of a boycott of all the buses in her city, and that is officially the start of the civil rights movement to give equal rights between Blacks and whites. It is also World AIDS Day to remember those who suffer from that terrible disease. December 2nd is National Fritters Day. And where I first learned about fritters was at Knott's Berry Farm. And it goes back to the pioneer days. A wonderful, wonderful treat if you haven't had it. It is also National Mutt Day for dogs. If you've got a dog that's not a thoroughbred, doesn't have a pedigree, is just a lovable mutt, this is the day to shower them with lots of extra love and attention. December 3rd, International Day of People with Disabilities. It is also National Roof Over Your Head Day. And thank God for your many blessings. Doesn't have to be doesn't have to be just on Thanksgiving. Also, the first successful heart transplant happened in 1967 on December 3rd. And I remember back then, and I'll bet you do too. Wasn't it Dr. Bernard from South Africa? And he was the one who was able to give a man a brand new heart and a new lease on his life. December 4th, National Cookie Day. Oh, yeah, we love our cookies. It is Wear Brown Shoes Day if you have brown shoes. It is Wildlife Conservation Day. And also, the phonograph or record player was invented in 1877. And you know what? Record players are coming back. There was about 15-year period there where I'd have to bring a record player to school and show the kids how to operate it and how the needle worked and how you'd put the round record down on the turntable and put the needle on and it would go round and round and round. And I thought that was funny, but well, now they're beginning to learn that the warmth of the music produced by vinyl records, analog, the old way of playing this music, in many ways beats the colder perfection of digital music. And I know that's a question for debate. So now let's look a little bit more in depth. And of course, the first thing I've got to tell you is how to avoid holiday weight gain. Well, I don't know about you. I've been doing really good. I've lost over 22 pounds in the last year, but Thanksgiving was my downfall with all the wonderful gravies and dressings and the cream soups with the green bean casserole and all of that. I put on 5 pounds, but I know if I go back to my regular diet for a few days, I can drop that 5 pounds off really, really quickly. That and walking my dogs for a few days. So I'm going to do it. But here is a way, instead of the 3,500 calories of a typical Thanksgiving or Christmas meal, you can try to stay under 1,000 calories. Here's how you do it. You might want to get a pen and write some of these down. And since this is a recording, you can always ask the director, activity director, to play it again and repeat it so that you can get this information. Number one, go for the light white meat. Turkey breast is super lean, 44 calories and 1 gram of fat per ounce. Not the dark meat, I'm sorry. And you roast or bake it. Do not deep fry. Number two, add gravy with more flavor, not fat. Stick drippings in the freezer for 15 minutes and make it easier to skim off the fat. Number three, stuff the bird with whole grains, or, and this is what I do, bake the stuffing separately. But for the purists in my family, I put a little bit of stuffing in the turkey because it does keep it moister. And then the other I put in a casserole dish and bake it that way. Number four, add a touch of green by boiling fresh beans and seasoning with olive oil, sea salt, and black pepper, not the creamy mushroom soup and not the onion crumb toppings. Oh, I know, I'm just spoiling it for a lot of people. Number five, don't forget the super berries, cranberries, not the canned sauce with added sugar. Number six, mashed potato recipes with less fat and calories than traditional recipes, or what I do because my husband was diabetic. We serve the yams. I left off the marshmallows and the brown sugar. I baked them like a potato, and then I served the yams with butter, real butter. And that didn't really add weight, but it sure did add seasoning and taste. Number seven, watch the liquid calories. Mix your white wine with bubbly water or have some cranberry juice or coffee or Martinelli's, which is usually less fattening. And number eight, you don't need to skip the pie. Thank goodness for that. You can trim 100 calories and 7 grams by trimming off the back crust. Or you can try a pumpkin spice custard instead. But if you're like me and you just got to have your pecan pie, forget what I just said. Take the advice, chuck it down on the floor. Well, don't say I didn't tell you. I did want to give you some good advice. That, Sunday, sundown, about 4:30, was when Hanukkah started this year. It's different every year because the Jewish calendar relies on the moon cycle, not the sun cycle. Let me tell you about the dedication of their temple, the meaning of the menorah, which is the candlestick with 8 candle holders, and the whirling wonder of the dreidel. Hanukkah, or the Festival of Lights, is known as the winter holiday when Jewish people light the menorah and exchange gifts. It commemorates the victory of the Jews over their Greek rulers in the mid-2nd century BC. But some of them, people, instead of thinking of the military celebration, although they do like to act out the play, they will talk about the miracle of lights. According to the ancient story, when the Jews rededicated their holy temple, there was very little oil remaining to light the candelabra or temple menorah. The bulk of the lamp oil had been polluted by their enemies, but the oil was enough for one day. Somehow, it miraculously was still burning that night. And then the next day, when the priest checked, it was still burning. The oil hadn't run out. And it went on and on and on for 8 days. Oh my gosh. And when that happened, it was considered to be the origin of the 8-day celebration of Hanukkah. And so they used the menorah. And in modern times, during the 8-day celebration, they celebrate for 8 days, not just one day. Jewish people across the globe light one menorah candle tonight on the first night of Hanukkah, and then they add a candle each successive night. And it's just wonderful how they do it. It is the most widely known Jewish holiday, even though it's regarded as a minor holiday. It does not have the religious significance of Passover, Rosh Hashanah, or Yom Kippur, but it does celebrate the victory over their leaders. The Jews were always getting picked on by one group or another, a lot of anti-Semitic people. But this is one time when they won the victory and they were able to celebrate. And it is a time for family, celebration, and joy, and remembering past miracles and the continuing pursuit of peace in a troubled world. Now, that is a beautiful, beautiful story. Now, I want to talk about the other celebration, which starts early, especially if you're Catholic, and that is Advent, although Protestants also celebrate Advent. And that is the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, which is the traditional date of the birth of Jesus Christ. The Christmas trees will be hung on the fireplace in the United States and Canada for Santa Claus to fill with gifts. So many people will celebrate Christmas Eve, but we use candles in this holiday of Advent, and you light one candle the first Sunday of the week, and then the second candle the second Sunday, the third one, then the fourth one, and then the great big middle one is lit on Christmas Day, so that all 5 candles are lit up for Christmas Day. And that's during a very dark time of the year. Now, there are other ways that we celebrate. With my children, it was called 24 Days Till Christmas, Make an Advent Calendar, Build a Christmas Manger. And this is homemade. I even had my grandchildren do it this year. And I wanted to show you some of the materials were like cereal boxes to make the little hay manger and straw or dry grass. The little baby Jesus was made from a little peanut. And then you wrapped a little cloth around it. And then you made a little circle for the face. And you could make it that way. And then, of course, the people, here's an angel made out of a tin can holding a candle, but you don't really light it. And here is a toilet paper roll that's made into a shepherd who is out in the field watching the sheep when the angels came to announce the birth of the baby Jesus. So this is a very nice book, about 25 years old, but it has gotten a lot of use. The other thing I wanted to show you goes back even further to my childhood. Of course, we know I'm 29 and holding. But this is an old Advent calendar, which my mother saved. I'm so glad she did. You know, my mom's still alive at 99. I've got to tell her about this. reminder about this. You open it up and you see all the different dates, and you open each one and there's a little surprise or a little song that you sing on that day till you get to the biggest one, and they sing Silent Night for the biggest one there near the top. And it's fun to put that up in a window. And there's all kinds of advent calendars that people make. And this is more of a Scandinavian custom. When I visited my husband's family relatives in Norway, this is what they use. So each one of these is a little door. See, I don't know if I can hold it and do it at the same time on the camera. So you can take one and you put candy inside there. And then, or you put a little message to them or a little toy. And then you go all the way up. Well, there's the 24th, that's Christmas Eve. And then 25th, Christmas Day, you can have another little candy for them. And my grandchildren love when we celebrate using the Advent cupboard as a way of celebrating and marking the days and making each day special on the way. In China, the Christians in China light their homes with beautiful paper lanterns during Advent. Santa is called Dan Qi Liao Ren. The children are encouraged to hang stockings like their counterparts in the United States. In Belgium, the children are always excited by the approaching Christmas season. They give gifts early on December 6th, which is St. Nicholas Day. And I'll tell you more about him next week. So I want to tell you about it, but I'm not going to. In Denmark, the Danes celebrate the tradition of St. Nicholas with Santa, known as Julemanden. He arrives in a sleigh pulled by reindeer with gifts for children of all ages. There is also an additional tradition among the Danish children concerning his helpers, the elves. It is believed that they may live in the people's attics. So they leave milk and rice pudding for the helpers to make sure they send word back to Santa that yes, they were good. What about England? You know, England exported several Advent customs to the United States. Prince Albert imported from his native Germany the tradition of bringing in a fir tree and decorating it with ornaments and fruits 3 weeks before Christmas during his beloved Queen Victoria's reign. Other imported features of the English tradition, including the making of Christmas gifts, the giving of box gifts the day after Christmas on Boxing Day, the hanging of stockings by the fireplace, and Santa coming not with red robes, but with bright green robes. In France, they celebrate Christmas throughout the entire month of December. Many families begin the gift giving on December 6th, and then they give other gifts on December 25th and New Year's Day. And I wanted to tell you about Mexico. Mexicans celebrate Christmas, Navidad, for a full 9 days during the Advent season, leading up to Christmas Eve. Costumes are norm, and either in the public squares or from house to house, they do Las Posadas. They enjoy the drama of knocking on the neighbors' doors, being turned away as the inn is full, and then moving the party to the backyard or the public square. They play a lot of music throughout the celebrations, serve great regional dishes, and the children are given sticks to strike the piñata, a paper mache creation, often in the shape of a nativity animal like a camel or a donkey, filled with candy and other goodies. On the 9th night, they celebrate Joseph and Mary being welcomed by God, angels, and shepherds into the stable. And there's so many other customs: Spain, Poland, Holland, Sweden, Russia. You'll have to look some of them up on your own because we are going to be running out of time. Now, I wanted to switch to a little bit darker subject just for a minute. This says CDC COVID vaccinations will begin in mid-December. And I wrote this November 28th, last year, 2020. It says hope in a dark tunnel. COVID cases are on the rise, presenting a third wave. Lockdowns are forcing many to cut back Christmas plans. Yet there is a light on the horizon with announcements from Operation Warp Speed Science, Chief Scientific Advisor, and the CDC that vaccines are on charter planes heading all over the United States. Remember, that was just a year ago. Both Moderna and Pfizer have announced that test trials for the CCP virus vaccine are successful and have more than a 90% efficacy rate. Medical and other essential personnel will get the first vaccines. Police, firefighters, and teachers beginning in mid-December. That is within days. How exciting. Then the elderly in senior facilities and younger seniors will get the vaccination, then the general population and children. By May or June, it is hoped at least 70% of the people will be vaccinated. And in most parts of the country, we have definitely reached that rate. In Los Angeles, it is somewhat higher. Then I decided, well, you know, in December of this year, 2021, 1 year later, I needed to write an update. Here's what I wrote. Most Americans over 18 years have now been vaccinated. While vaccines do not stop people from catching variants of COVID-19, the chance of severe symptoms or death have significantly decreased. A booster is being recommended for adults. Stores are open. Many counties still require wearing masks indoors, but not outdoors. The economy is facing inflation and supply shortages this Christmas, although many people have gone back to work. And that's how the situation stands right now. There's hope. There's always hope for the future. That's what I love about Hanukkah and Christmas. Darkest days of the years, we light our candles and remember God is faithful and will help us. One more story, and this is such a fun one. I told you that December 5th, the end of this week, was Walt Disney's birthday. I want to tell you about him. I think he's a magical person. His childhood, he was born December 5, 1901 in Chicago to a middle-class family. His father insisted that Walt and his brother take a newspaper route at 4:30 a.m. in the cold winters of Chicago, and another one at night. He was very strict with the family, and Disney said he never really experienced a happy childhood. That became a prime motivator for the later creation of Disneyland for children as the happiest place on earth. Disney had to pay for his own art lessons and got a job as a commercial illustrator when he turned 18. In his younger elementary years, when the family moved to Kansas City, Missouri for 6 years, Disney copied artwork from the newspapers and also took a correspondence course. This made him a real self-starter. In his young adulthood, the family moved back to Chicago, and Disney met Walter Pfeiffer from a family of theater fans. He was introduced to vaudeville and motion pictures. He took night courses at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts. And here he is in his younger years. During World War I, Disney joined the Red Cross in 1918 at the age of 17. He was an ambulance driver and illustrated his ambulance with his cartoon figures. So everybody knew that was Disney's ambulance. He was shipped to France, but luckily the armistice had just been signed and kept him out of seeing any action. Can you believe if there, what would it be like with no Disney or Disneyland or Disney World or Disney Plus on our TVs, all the wonderful stories and movies. In the early 1920s, Disney moved to California to be near his brother who had tuberculosis, and he set up the Disney Brothers studio. Roy handled the business end. Walt studied current technology and developed his character Mickey Mouse in 1928. He introduced synchronized sound, full color 3-strip Technicolor, feature-length cartoons, and better cameras. And what were his other successes? Disney had over 100 illustrators in his studio in the late 1930s, providing work for many artists during the Great Depression. He made pro-American films for the military during World War II and many educational patriotic programs for television and film in later years. In 1955, he expanded into the amusement park industry, opening Disneyland in Anaheim, California. He wanted a place that his children and grandchildren could visit that was not the harsh alcohol-induced environment of many of the carnivals in that time. He funded it partly with TV programs such as the Mickey Mouse Club and Walt Disney's Disneyland Show. In 1965, Disney World opened in Orlando, Florida, and Epcot, an experimental prototype community of the future. He also consulted on exhibitions for international world fairs. And of course, today there's a Disneyland in France, there's one in Japan, and I don't know where else, but I'm sure other places as well. Disney received 59 Academy Award nominations. He also received Special Achievement Awards and an Emmy for Best Producer for the Disneyland TV series. Remember the Spin and Marty show? Remember Annette Funicello from the Musketeers and Buddy and Karen, the little dance team that was so cute? Remember Bobby and Darlene and their good dances? Later, he worked for the Lawrence Welk show. Around the world, he and staff members earned more than 950 honors and citations. He died December 15, 1966 from lung cancer. He left a good 10 years worth of plans for future creative projects, which his brother Roy and future executives made sure they finished. The Disney Corporation continues to lead in creative efforts all around the world. And on that inspiring note, I want to say goodbye. And I hope that you have a wonderful beginning of the holiday season. Bye, everybody. Stay warm.